Hello, this is Elanda with Empowering Life After Loss. And as you can see, this is my beautiful daughter, Paige. I'm always talking about Paige and Eric. We did a video with Eric a couple of days ago talking about his video was entitled How I Feel About Losing My Sister Part 1. This is how I feel about losing my sister Part 2. And this time we're going to talk to Paige. As you can see, you are in for a very entertaining session here. So first of all, this is Paige Douglas. Paige is 21 years old. This is my baby. So this is the baby of the bunch. So Paige, how are you doing today?
I'm good. How's everyone? How are you?
We're good. We're good. I'm going to start off by asking Paige some of the same questions that I asked Eric the other day. So Paige, we're going to get right into it. We're talking about Ebony. So what do you remember about the day that you found out that Ebony had been in a car accident? Tell us about that day.
So the day Ebony was in the car accident, I remember us being out shopping. I remember us getting our nails done at like one of our favorite nail spots. And then I remember us coming home. It was like 11 o'clock when we got home. And I just remember us being out all day, and when we got home, I had went like to the living room. Everyone else was kind of like away, and I think I was the one who looked through like the peephole of the front door, and I was just like, oh my gosh, it's the police. So I was 11 years old. I went back and told my mom, the police are at the door. And I guess as a kid, you see the police at the door, and you're like, oh my gosh, like what's going on? Somebody's in trouble. Something like, not that anything had happened to my sister, but not good news. So I went to go get my mom, and then you were like, why are the police at the door? Why are they there? Why are they there? And then you answered the door, and they just didn't really have anything to say. They were just telling my mom to sit down. Like Eric had said in his video, they were saying that something had happened to Ebony. She had been in an accident. And then I just remember them telling her to sit down. She sat down, and they told her what had happened. I just remember my mom saying like, Ebony is dead. Ebony is dead. And when they came in the house, I had ran upstairs. And me and Eric were looking down to see like over the railing of the house to see what the police were going to say. Because we were scared. Like I was like, what if my parents get arrested? Like, I don't know what's going on. So I was just like, scared of them even being at the home. And I just remember my mom yelling, Ebony is dead, Ebony is dead. And I just remember my heart like sinking. But at the time I was in really like a lot of denial. I was like, what do you mean that Ebony is dead? Like, we just talked to her not too long ago. I hadn't talked to Ebony since we dropped her off at school, which is like abnormal for me because we had a really close relationship. So I had felt bad about not being on the phone with her and, talking to her as much as I usually do. But I was thinking, she's in college. I want her to have her space and to enjoy what she's doing. So I just felt bad about not calling her. You just have like that instant regret of just kind of taking for granted that person and their time on earth because, your time is cut so short. But that day, I just remember feeling like, no, she's not. Like, she's not dead. She's at school. She's studying. She's with her friends. I was like, what do they mean that she was in a car accident? Like, I couldn't process that. My mom kept saying it. I was just kind of like in shock is the best way I could put it. I just remember, like Eric has said, they had knocked on the door so loud, and the doorbell. That doorbell haunted me for years. It still haunts me if I ever hear that sound. Anytime I would hear that anyone come to our door after that day, I just kind of felt like my heart would instantly start beating, like I was gonna have like a whole panic attack. Anytime someone came to the door at a weird time and everyone wasn't at home, I would think something bad is happening. Somebody died.
So with that being said, you said that you were in denial. I remember when we went to the funeral home to see the body. I remember that when we went in, you and Eric were like, Ebony's really dead. So was that did that make it real for you when I took you guys to the funeral home with me to see her?
So the first time we went to the funeral home, we went to go see Ebony before her body had been prepared for a viewing for a funeral. She was just straight out of the accident. They had cleaned off the glass from the car. She was just like, she looked like she was asleep at that time. So even when we went to go see my sister's corpse, it still didn't hit me that she was truly, truly dead until we went back to the funeral home for her wake or her viewing. We didn't have a wake, a viewing. When we saw her in the casket, once they had done her makeup, once they had done her body for people to see her, that's when it was kind of real for me. But that's when it made it like, man, she's actually dead. But the first time we went to go see her, just right after the accident, they transferred her body to, the city that we live in. I was like, she looked like she was sleeping to me because she didn't have her makeup on. She just had her nails done. She looked like she did every time that we saw her. It made it more like this is really happening, but I still hadn't truly grasped that she was dead. And I didn't, even after we saw her at the funeral, it didn't hit me again until they started like lowering her body. They had like lowered her body during the funeral into the casket where she wasn't lifted to be seen. And then even after that, I was still like, just like, she's gonna come home for Christmas, or it's like crazy to think about, but she's still gonna call me one day, or like she's not. I still didn't grasp it until you came home with the urn. And when I saw the urn, I was like, that like shook me to my core. Like I was like, dang, she's really, really dead. Like when they had her remains in a box, that was it for me.
Mm-hmm. So how, and I'm gonna say what happened was Ebony was in Bastrop, like Eric has said before in one of his videos. So we had to have her body transferred back to Dallas. So when she first died, she wasn't here. I had to find a funeral home to go pick up the body and bring the body back home. And for me, and I've shared with you guys several times, I'm an ICU nurse. I was an ICU nurse at the time. I had never dealt with that because in the ICU, what I was used to was us getting the body ready, preparing it for the family, and going to see the body at the hospital. So in my mind, I thought I was going to go somewhere to see my daughter, but I couldn't do that. They had already picked her up from the accident, taken her to the funeral home, and they were going to bring in a funeral home in Bastrop, and they were going to bring her back here to a funeral home. So what Paige is saying, we found out on a Saturday night that Ebony had been killed, but the body wasn't here until the next day. So the next day, we went to the funeral home, and that was our first time seeing the body the next day, that Sunday. And then that Friday, a couple of days after that Sunday, we had her, she was prepared for the funeral for the following Saturday. So we went back to see the body to make sure, they wanted to make sure we approved of everything that they had done with the body. So that's why we were there again, was to see the body before the actual funeral. So that's kind of what she's talking about when she's saying all that. With that being said, Paige, how have you coped with, or how do you deal with, or what have you done to help yourself throughout this process? And again, when it happened, I took you and Eric to counseling, and y'all didn't want to go. Let's talk about that. What you've done. What did you think about me making you guys go to counseling?
I didn't want to go to counseling just because I didn't really want to talk about what had happened. And my best way to not think about what was going on was to keep my mind busy on something else. So everyone was saying like maybe they shouldn't go to school, maybe they shouldn't do this or that, which I wanted to do everything that I was doing before anything had ever happened, because at school my friends didn't even believe me when I told them my sister had died. It was just like when I went to school, I was away from everything that was going on in my house. When I came home, it was like death, death, death. Like there was there was flowers all over the living room. There was food everywhere. People were constantly coming over and giving us cards and condolences. And so I felt like every time I came home, everything was just kind of happening all over again, and I couldn't get away from being sad and being depressed unless I was somewhere else. So my best way to cope at the time was to go somewhere that didn't have flowers and food and everything. And for a long time after that, like, I didn't like smelling flowers, I didn't like seeing flowers, because every time I saw that, I just associated it with death.
So what did you do to get past all of that? Or how do you still, I know it's still hard. How do you cope what do you do on your hard days now?
Now, I think as I got older, I just kind of, you mature. Like, I didn't like being in the funeral home. I felt like it was kind of like, it just gave me like a queasy feeling. But after my sister died, I thought of it more of, when I saw her body before the funeral, I saw my sister's physical body, but I didn't see her. The day right after the wreck, she still looked more to me like she does on a regular day. But when I saw someone else do her makeup, her skin complexion changed because she didn't have as much blood flow, and seeing her truly, truly dead made me like stop associating her physical, the material stuff, her clothes, with what she was. So I think as I grew older, I just started thinking, when you're at a graveyard, for instance, I'm not here with those people, but I'm here with the memories of them. I'm here with what I want to remember from this person. Even just the songs that we played at her funeral, for a long time, I couldn't listen to those without crying. Now, when I'm going through something hard, I listen to those same songs we played at her funeral because they help me get through hard days. One of the songs, we even went to go see one of the artists that sung a lot of the songs at my sister's funeral, and those songs now bring me peace because it kind of puts back into my head that she's not suffering anymore, that God sees you, the best in you. That's one of the songs.
Marvin Sapp.
Yeah, Marvin Sapp. God sees the best in me regardless of what I've done, the sins that I've made, anything that I've ever done. There's nothing that God can't forgive me for. So I listen to that song and it reminds me, there's still something good in me regardless of what I'm going through. And so that helps me. I have friends. She's had friends that have lost siblings and they go through stuff. And when you meet people who go through things where you think, I could only imagine going through something like this, and you see somebody who's gone through something hard and they're at a better place now, you're like, man, this is really something that is possible. Right now I'm in school and like I have hard days, I go through hard things, but there's nothing I feel like I can't go through. I can go through that can prevent me from getting where I want to go if I believe in myself. My mother, she was in school when this happened to her. So it's like, regardless of what I go through right now, I think I can make it if I truly want to.
And with that being said, I was in nurse practitioner school, and I remember telling Paige, I'm quitting school, I'm quitting work, I'm quitting everything. And you remember you getting really, really mad? She got so mad at me. We were in the bathroom arguing about me dropping out of nurse practitioner school. And you remember what you said to me that day? What did you tell me that day?
I was just telling her, you can't quit. You can't quit. I don't care what's going on. You can't quit.
She told me we've been doing this too long.
Yeah.
And I was like, we haven't done anything, So she's like,
us.
Right, we've been doing this, and Ebony would not want that. And so I think too, what you have to remember is, what would that person want from you, or what would that person expect of you during that time? Right, Ebony was going to PDAMU for nursing. Actually, Paige is doing the same thing now. As you know, that's my background, that's my career. So how do you feel about being at the same school with the same major that your sister was doing?
Being at school it's its own thing in itself, but I feel like being at the same school as my sister, they just were so good to us when everything happened. Just like some of the students came to the funeral. They sent messages. The deans of the school were messaging us, just sending condolences. So I feel like there's not a better place we could be giving our money to than someone who was that good to us at one of the hardest times in our life. So I feel like that's just me kind of, um, paying back that in that respects. It's a historically Black university. There's a time where we could never go to school being colored people. They gave us the opportunity to go and be successful and work in corporate America. So I feel like being at a HPCU, that's what that gives me. Being at the same school, since Ebony was only there for
11 days.
11 days, yeah. It's not one of those things where every time I go around campus, I feel like I'm seeing her, I'm being reminded of her. We're at the same school, but she was there for such a short period of time. I can't really say that we had conversations about, the professors that she had or the dorm room that she was in. We did have a friend that went, I think he had the same building that she was in. But at the same time, she was there for such a short period of time. It's hard to put the two together. I just feel like being there is a blessing. I'm glad that I have the opportunity to go to school and advance my degree, my knowledge, my education. Yeah. But at the biggest thing for me going to school is I feel like my parents have had 3 kids, and they never got to see us really finish. Me and my brother are still trying to figure out what we're gonna do in our adult career. Ebony was the oldest. She was the one who was gonna be the first to do everything. She was the first to get a car. She was the first they taught to drive. She was the first to go to high school, to go through her teenage years. That was like their learning point. So after she was gone, I didn't have the oldest sibling to kind of see like, this is what I should do and this is what I shouldn't do. And Eric, he decided he didn't want to go through school. So I feel like I'm this kid they get to see, go through the college path and see where it leads. And so I feel like me and Eric are their opportunity to see like what they've raised, and how good of parents they've been. Because for a long time, my mom always felt like maybe I wasn't a good mom and maybe I should have done this. And what if I did that? And I just kind of want her to see that she didn't do anything wrong. She was a good mother. And me and my brother are going to be successful one day. But
well, I felt cheated. I felt cheated. I felt like I had put in all this time and done all these things, and I didn't get to see the fruitages of me and my husband's labor. That's what I felt. So, and every time I would go to work, people would say, how's your family? How's your family? I've kind of put Eric and Paige on here because what people don't realize either is that when you're a family going through what we went through, everybody's in such a different place. Honestly, some of the stuff that I've heard Eric and Paige say on my video, I've never heard it before. I did put them in counseling. I did try to help them as much as I could, but some of the stuff is new for me too, and we still go through it. I mean, so we are encouraging, but at the same time, as you can see, we're still living. We're still doing the things, which is what I want to encourage others to do, is that even though it's different, it's still possible. So I'm going to ask you what I asked Eric. What do you tell the little girl that's lost her big sister, the mom that's lost her child? What do you tell the family that has lost their loved one, and how do they continue to make it?
I think the biggest thing for me was in the midst of it, in the moment, feel what you need to feel, because you can't ever overcome the feelings if you continue to hold them in and confine them. Because regardless, anything that you're feeling, it's going to eventually come out, and it might be misplaced anger to someone or something. But just that time that you have to grieve and make yourself be able to be allowed to cry, be allowed to feel. And I think that was one of the biggest things. I know for my dad, he tried to hold his tears in so much in front of me and my brother, because he never cried in front of us. And that affected him physically. But I think one of my biggest things for me was just crying. And, me being a woman, me and my mom would be crying together and talking about stuff. And I feel like as my brother and my father, they kind of felt like they were men and they had to put on this tough man image for everybody else. Like, they can't cry at the funeral and they can't feel what they need to feel. And I wish that that wasn't like the facade, or I wish that that wasn't what the pressure people put on people. That, you know, you can't have feelings and you can't cry, and that, you know, basically you're crazy for having a bad day. I think that when you have the time to grieve and to have your emotions and to let it all out, it doesn't sit and haunt you for years and years to come. So the times that I did sit there in denial and letting myself go through all of the processes of the grieving, that's what's helped me eventually not be. I'm still not what I was before Ebony died, but I can sit here now and talk about my experience, and just be okay. You know, still, like she said, go and live my daily life, not be suicidal every day. And sometimes when you have a good day and you're not depressed and crying, you almost feel bad because there's other people around you, like your friends and your family, that are crying. And I'm like, oh my gosh, am I like a bad person for not crying about my sister today? Like, I felt like some days when I was okay, bad for that I wasn't crying, because I thought I was supposed to be crying every single day, and that's okay not to cry every day. It's okay to have a good day. I had one of my mom's friends took me to a concert, for, it was like right around, you know, September to Christmas time period, to see one of my favorite artists at the time, and that was a happy day for me. But it's like you have days like that and you almost feel bad for not being sad on those days, but you need those so you don't stay in a depressive state, so you're not suicidal, because your mental state can dig you into a ditch, and once you dig yourself that deep, it's hard to come out of that. So I think your mental state and your energy, what you put off into the world, what you think every day to yourself, is huge. And that's the, you know.
Yep, that's you get what you give, and sometimes you have to make choices. Like she said, which I told them, it's okay to have respites in your grief, which means breaks. See, it's sometimes you need. I told my sister. I remember telling my sister, "Man, it's just hard to be sad all the time. It takes a lot of work. My head hurts. I cry all the time. I'm congested, but it's not a good feeling to feel like that. So when you don't, like Paige said, enjoy your moments where you're not in that negative space. What have you done to remember Ebony? What have you done that you think reminds you of your sister, or that keeps your sister in your heart? Because even though she's not with us, she's still with us all the time. What are some of the things you think about that I guess that we do, that helps keep Ebony's memory alive in our house and in our lives?
A lot of the stuff that we do as a family, I feel like kind of plays into what I do, because we do it together. Like she said, she has paintings all over the house. My mom makes calendars for our entire family. I have to write my schedule out all the time to keep up with school, with work, just what I'm doing on a daily basis. I look at that calendar all the time. I've kept her obituary so I can see it and look at it. I have pictures of my sister. When I put on my eyelashes, if I'm having a bad day, I'll do my makeup sometimes, so that way I can. Ebony used to say all the time, "Girl, I'm gonna mess up my eyelashes. I can't cry." So like days that I have a bad day, I'll do my eyelashes, because like for this video, I'm like, I can't be crying on YouTube. People gonna see this.
My eyelashes
My
gonna come
eyelashes
off.
gonna come off. I'm like, girl, stop crying. You're gonna mess up your makeup. Don't play with me. So sometimes I'll do my makeup. So I'll be thinking in my head, "Girl, you can't cry your eyelashes off. What are you doing?" So Ebony, I used to do her hair. I do my hair still, and I think about, man, like if she was here, we'd be the biggest wig industry and makeup artists in the world right now, because I feel like we was doing edges and hair since I was younger than 11. So just doing stuff, she always was really cute. She always got her nails done. She always did her hair. She never went anywhere broke down. Like, you can't catch her slipping. So sometimes I think to myself, don't let yourself get caught slipping. Like my mom always tells me, you don't have to look how you feel. So that was one of the biggest things for me. And then, like she said, just I made my mom a apron when I was younger. So every time she cooked, you know, she could keep her clothes clean, and Ebony loved cooking. I like how we did the Christmas decorations. At home, there is more stuff that I want to incorporate. I think one day when I have kids, there's things that I think about doing in the future to remember her. If I ever get married, I don't think I'll ever have a maid of honor, because no one ever is going to be Ebony. I feel like that was her spot. That was her position. I want to tell my future kids about who my sister was, who their aunt was, and just like have pictures of her. Keep things around my house to be constant reminders of who she was, what type of person she was. Even I still talk to a lot of her friends. I invite them to things that I'm doing, just because I like seeing them. I like seeing where they are, and I have friends now, or her friends now, are getting married and having kids, and you just kind of think about, what is that what my sister would be doing? Would she be getting married right now? Would she be having kids right now? So talking to different people, stuff like that.
Well, we're going to wrap it up. The other thing I was going to do is Paige, just like Eric. Paige is in nursing school at PBAMU, but she also has things that she does for herself. Like she said, she likes hair. Her and Ebony liked hair. So some of her stuff that she does, she makes wigs. So that's her thing. She has a wig website. She has a YouTube channel. So Paige, tell everybody how they can come look at your YouTube videos, or if you want to order a wig. What's your wig website?
So right now, the best way to contact me is on my personal Instagram. It's P.doug, stands for P.doug. And on my bio, I have my link to my hair page. Right now, it's iam.si.mone, or iam.si.mone. That's my middle name. So just go to my personal Instagram and click on that bio. On there, I have all my YouTube linked, everything linked. I'm not going to drop my YouTube name because I'm thinking about changing it. So I don't want people to look at this video years from now and not be able to locate me.
Girl, tell them your YouTube name. Stop playing.
Well, it's Sìmonè.
Yes.
But I'm probably going to change it. So if you go to my Instagram, you're forever going to be able to find me. So,
well, you know what? I am going to put all of her links in the comments. If you guys would like, subscribe, go check Paige out. Go check out what she's doing. I think she's awesome. This is my baby. I'm blessed to have her. I'm blessed to be her mom. And I'm just so happy that you're here.
I'm happy that you're here.
All right. And thank you guys for watching, and tune in later.